Deep within a shroud of drizzle and silence lies a village forgotten by time. Its name whispers through the fog, Kirisame Mura, a place where dreams twist into shadows and ambitions unravel into terror. A young woman named Naomi steps into this gloom, chasing stardom only to stumble upon a tale etched in notes, blood, and broken promises. Today, we unravel this haunting story, peeling back its layers to reveal a tapestry woven from ancient Japanese legends and the echoes of a cursed past, piecing together the lore of Kirisame Mura, where every step forward is a descent into mystery. But before we start, make sure to subscribe, and as this isn't just Naomi's journey, it's a mystery woven from the threads of ancient Japanese folklore, a modern echo of tales told by firelight centuries ago. What begins as a quest for fame spirals into an encounter with forces beyond the stage, forces born of sorrow, rage, and the weight of a village's buried sins. We're here to peel back the mist, to trace the fragments Naomi uncovers and stitch them into a tapestry that reveals the heart of Kirisame Mura. This is a story of ambition meeting the supernatural, where the past doesn't rest and the present pays its price. Together, we'll delve into its layers, unearthing the legends that breathe life into this cursed place and the cultural echoes that make it linger in the mind. Naomi arrives with stars in her eyes, summoned by a man named Hideki and his promise to make her a pop star. She steps into a town draped in silence, where notes pinned to poles tell of a lost temple and a woman wronged by fate. As she walks, the village reveals itself. Statues bleed, rivals vanish into fog, and time bends in ways that defy reason. What waits at the end is no simple victory, but a reckoning tied to a vengeful spirit and a temple steeped in shadow. Along the way, we'll uncover whispers of Yuri, ghosts tethered to the living and Onri, spirits fueled by wrath. We'll explore how Japan's old beliefs shape this tale, from sacred spaces to cursed fates, hinting at the unseen hands guiding Naomi's path. So settle in, let's step into the drizzle and follow her through the fog, where every note she finds is a piece of something vast, haunting and undeniably alive. A village where the air is thick with mist, where silence hangs like a shroud and the light struggles to pierce the gloom. This is Kirisame Mura, a place where the fog never lifts and the world feels as though it's holding its breath. The streets are narrow, wending through clusters of old, weathered houses, their wooden frames creaking softly as if whispering secrets to the wind. Shadows stretch long and lean, and the few villagers who remain move like ghosts themselves, their faces etched with a quiet, unspoken dread. It's a place where time feels suspended, where the past clings to the present like the damp that seeps into everything. In Japanese culture, places like this are often tied to the supernatural. The fog and silence evoke the presence of Yuri, ghosts of the departed, restless spirits who linger in the world they once knew. You might feel them in the sudden chill that brushes your neck or the flicker of movement just beyond the mist, unseen but undeniable. But there's a darker edge here, a weight in the air that hints at something more sinister and Oryu. These are vengeful spirits driven by rage or sorrow so deep it binds them to this plane, seeking retribution against the living. In Kirisame Mura, the silence isn't peaceful, it's tense, as if the village is braced for the wrath of an Oryu lurking within the haze. Then there's the fog itself, thick and relentless, cloaking the village in an otherworldly veil. It muffles sound, distorts shapes, and turns every path into a labyrinth. This misty shroud calls to mind the legend of Yamaba, the mountain hag. A figure from Japanese folklore, Yamaba haunts the misty peaks, her wild white hair blending with the fog. She's a trickster spirit said to control the weather and lure lost travelers with false kindness, only to reveal her monstrous hunger when they're trapped. Kirisame Mura, nestled in a valley beneath fog-draped mountains, feels like it sits in her shadow. The isolation of this rural Mura, a traditional Japanese village, only deepens that sense of being cut off, a place where ancient beliefs hold sway and the modern world feels far away. The village's name tells its own story, Kirisame Mura. Kirisame means drizzling rain, a gentle but endless fall that soaks the earth and chills the soul. Mura means village, but in Japan, rural villages like this are often seen as keepers of the past, where old traditions and forgotten tales linger. Together, Kirisame Mura paints a picture of a perpetually damp, melancholic place. In Japanese culture, rain often carries a poetic weight symbolizing sadness, the fleeting nature of life, or the quiet beauty of impermanence. Here, though, The drizzle feels heavier, like a lament for something lost, a sorrow woven into the village's very existence. This is Kirisame Mura, the stage for Naomi's tale, a village where the fog hides secrets, the silence whispers of restless spirits, and the rain mourns a past that refuses to fade. It's a place where Yurei drift through the mist, Onryu simmer with unseen fury, and the shadow of Yamaba looms in the mountains above. As Naomi steps into this world, she enters a story far older and darker than her own, a village alive with the echoes of the supernatural. As Naomi wanders these fog-choked streets, her journey shifts from a quest for fame to a chilling discovery. She finds 5 notes, scattered like fragments of a broken memory, each one peeling back the layers of a tragedy that haunts Kirisame Mura. The first note, pinned to a weathered pole, reads, "At the heart of the village, there once stood a temple, now lost in the fog." It's a quiet beginning, hinting at a sacred space swallowed by time and mist, a loss that feels like the village's soul has been torn away. She walks on, and the second note catches her eye. It tells of a woman, marked by fate, who desperately sought to escape her destiny. This woman emerges from the shadows of the words, a figure trapped, fighting against a path she couldn't unmake. The third note deepens the story. It was the village chief who mapped the path of her pain, a journey with no return. Here the villain steps into view, an authority figure whose power twisted her life into something unbearable. Naomi presses forward, finding the fourth note, rejected and slandered. The woman was unjustly accused of betrayal and dishonor. Rejection, lies, and shame pile upon her, a community turning its back on one of its own. Finally, at the end of a road blocked by a towering concrete wall, Naomi finds the fifth note. For her death, a vengeful entity arose, cursing the village to a fate of terror and darkness. This is the heart of it. The woman's death birthed something unstoppable, a force that cloaks Kirisame Mura in its grim embrace. Together, these notes weave a tale of a woman wronged by fate and the village chief, her life crushed by injustice, her spirit rising to exact a terrible price. This story resonates with Japanese legends of women transformed by betrayal. Think of Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman, a figure disfigured by her husband's jealousy, killed in a fit of rage, only to return as a haunting spirit asking strangers if she's still beautiful. Or Taka Onna, a tall, eerie woman stretched by her own anguish, shunned by society and reborn as a ghostly presence peering through windows. Both are echoes of betrayal and pain, their transformations mirroring the woman in the notes, her unjust death turning her into a cursed entity. Forever bound to the village she once called home, in Shinto belief, this is where Tatari comes in, a curse born from a spirit's unresolved anger. When someone dies wronged, their soul can become an onri, a vengeful spirit unwilling to rest. These spirits don't just linger, they act, bringing misfortune, illness, or worse to those who wrongs them and even to the places they once knew. The woman's death, marked by accusation and betrayal, fits this mold perfectly. Her onri spirit explains Kirisame Mura's fate, the fog that blinds, the silence that deafens, the gloom that never lifts. It's her wrath, her Tatari, seeping into the village's bones, a retribution that spares no one, not even newcomers like Naomi who stumble into its grasp. As Naomi pieces these notes together, she's not just reading a story, she's stepping into it, her own path beginning to tangle with the woman's. The village isn't merely a backdrop, it's a living testament to this curse, a place where the past refuses to release its hold. Enter Hideki, the voice on the phone that first drew Naomi here. He's the one who promised her stardom, a chance to shine as a pop star, and now he calls again, his tone smooth and inviting. "How's your exploration of Kirisame Mura going?" he asks, praising her curiosity about the village's legends before inviting her to the Red Lantern Ezekaya, a cozy tavern, to discuss her future. There, he tells her, "Your voice has something hypnotic, a depth that transcends music." His words laced with flattery, he offers a tour of hidden corners, hinting at mysteries and inspiration, but there's a shadow beneath his charm. Who is Hideki really? A mentor guiding her to fame, or something more manipulative? Human perhaps, or something less tangible? Hideki's role raises questions. He speaks of competition among artists, a necessary spark, he says, but his motives feel murky. Is he a man exploiting ambition, or a figure with deeper ties to the village's curse? In Japanese folklore, he recalls a kitsune, a fox spirit, cunning and elusive, known for weaving illusions and luring humans with promises they can't resist. Kitsune can shift shapes, whisper sweet lies, and lead their prey down paths of ruin, much like Hideki's promise of stardom, pulling Naomi deeper into Kirisame Mura's web. Yet there's another possibility. He could be a modern echo of a Yakuza-like figure, a human predator using the village's dark history to control and profit, preying on dreams like Naomi's for his own gain. Their meetings unfold in familiar Japanese spaces that ground the story in everyday life, only to twist it into something eerie. The izakaya from hai meaning to stay, and sakaya meaning sake shop is a tavern, a place of warmth where people gather over drinks and food. The red lantern izakaya glows against the fog, a deceptive heaven where Hideki spins his tales. Later, he invites her to Moonlight Karaoke, karaoke meaning empty orchestra, a stage where voices fill the void of pre-recorded tracks. These are social spaces, rooted in Japanese culture, yet in Kirisame Mura, they become thresholds to the unknown. At the izakaya, Naomi feels the first stirrings of unease at the karaoke. A drink from Hideki sends her spiraling into dizziness and visions. Hideki uses these places to blur the line between safety and danger. His promises a lure that tightens the village's grip around her. As he leaves her after their karaoke plans, promising to call later, Naomi steps back into the fog, her cigarette craving unmet, her car lost to the mist. Hideki's shadow lingers. A manipulator, yes, but whether he's flesh and blood or something more, the answer remains just out of reach. The village's grip tightens as Naomi's journey takes a darker turn. Seeking her car, she stumbles through the thickening fog, and time itself seems to warp. Morning slips into evening without warning. Then she sees them, statues of pregnant women, their stone faces carved with anguish, appearing where none stood before. One stands stark in the road's center, blood trickling from its base, staining the ground red. Following the trail, she finds a baby carriage, its blankets drenched in blood, but empty. No child, just the echo of loss. The scene is visceral, a silent scream frozen in stone and scarlet. These statues tie back to the woman from the notes, her tragedy now carved into the village's landscape. In Japanese folklore, they evoke Ubyum, a ghost of a woman who died in childbirth, her spirit forever searching for her lost baby. Ubyum lingers near bridges or rivers, sometimes begging passers-by to hold her child, only for it to turn to stone in their arms, a weight of grief made manifest. Here, the bloodied carriage and pregnant statues suggest her story, a pregnancy born of pain, perhaps the chief's assault, ending in death and loss. The statues might also hint at Jizo, the Buddhist protector of children, especially those lost before or at birth. Often found as small roadside figures draped in red bibs, Jizo comforts these souls. But in Kirisame Mura, the statues twist that protection into something mournful, a plea for peace the village can't grant. Amid this haunting tableau, a figure steps from the fog. Eureka, another singer Hideki invited, her eyes sharp with rivalry. She lights Naomi's cigarette, her words cutting, "Between you and me, only one can shine." It's a challenge, maybe a warning, before she vanishes into the mist like a fleeting spirit. Eureka's presence mirrors the woman's tale, accusation and betrayal reborn in this contest for stardom. Then, after a dizzying moment at the karaoke, Naomi feels a sudden weight. She's pregnant, impossibly, inexplicably, her fate now entwined with the woman's curse. This moment reflects mono no aware, a Japanese concept of the fleeting nature of things, the beauty and sadness of life's impermanence. The woman's potential as a mother was stolen, her child lost to violence or shame. Naomi's ambition, too, is transient, her success shadowed by this supernatural burden. Erika's rivalry underscores it. One rises, the other falls, a dance of lost potential where victory is bittersweet. In Kirisame Mura, dreams don't endure, they crumble beneath the weight of the past. Naomi's path leads her to the temple. The Terra, a word meaning temple. In Japanese, a sacred space now steeped in shadow. Voices from broken bottles in a liquor store guide her here, whispering the woman's full story, a pregnancy forced by the chief, her truth silenced, her desperate flight to this place to end her pain. The temple gate looms before her, adorned with 4 faces, 2 sad, 2 laughing, guarding 4 locks. Beneath each face lies a pile of colored coal, and Naomi must light candles to unlock the way, a ritual that feels both solemn and ominous. This gate echoes the 4 heavenly kings of Buddhist lore, Guardians often carved at temple entrances, their expressions a mix of joy and sorrow. The candles and locks suggest a passage through a sacred boundary, akin to Shimanoa, the straw ropes in Shinto that mark holy ground, separating the mundane from the divine. But here, the divine has soared. A skull-like creature stalks her as she gathers the candles. Its bony form a yukai born of the temple's curse, perhaps a Gashidokuro, a giant skeleton of the unburied dead, fitting this place of unrest. Inside, a large knife waits in the center of the room. Naomi knows what the voices implied. To rid herself of the child, she must use it, just as the woman once did. She grips the handle, steeling herself, but as she raises it, she falters. The child emerges, not a baby, but a monster with a clawed hand, a snake-like body, and a face of pure terror. This isn't birth, it's a manifestation of the curse, tying her to the village's fate. The temple connects to Tengu, mountain spirits who guard sacred places in Japanese tales. Usually protectors, they can turn wrathful, and here, the temple's sanctity feels warped by their presence, or by the Onry's lingering fury. There's a Hento Kodoku too, an ancient curse magic where creatures battle in a jar to birth a poison, though it's subtler, suggesting the temple amplifies the curse's power. This monstrous birth is Naomi's reckoning, her ambition's final cost, a thread from the woman's tragedy woven into her own life. Naomi's journey through Kirisame Mura ends in shadow, a cautionary tale of ambition's price. She came seeking stardom, but found a village cursed by a woman's betrayal and death, an Orni whose wrath ensnared her. From notes to statues, from Hideki's promises to Erika's rivalry, every step pulled her deeper into a legacy of retribution. The temple's monstrous birth sealed it, her dreams traded for a nightmare she couldn't escape. This story reflects Japanese philosophy, karma. The law of cause and effect runs through it. The chief's actions cursed the village, and Naomi's ambition drew her into that cycle, her choices bearing fruit she never foresaw. Yin and yang, the balance of opposites, shines too, her bright dreams clashing with the village's dark heart, a harmony of light and shadow that tips into chaos. Together, they remind us that every gain has its loss, every step its echo. And yet, Kirisame Mura leaves us with a question. The fog, the bleeding statues, the warped time. Was it real, or a spectral trap woven by the Oryu's will? The line between reality and the supernatural blurs here, a village where legends breathe and history bleeds into the now. Naomi's fate hangs in that mist, a puzzle unsolved, urging us to wonder, what price do we pay when ambition meets the unseen? Thank you for walking this path with me. If you like this explanation, consider subscribing, and also consider donating to help this channel.